One.
Welcome, everyone, to Tempo. Can you keep up?
Yeah.
How's it going, y'all?
We in the
I was
building.
just actually looking at the YouTube channel, guys. We have a 15, 20 views or so on the last few videos, so we're getting some people in here. So we have definitely got some viewers. So how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the show.
Hey, what's going on?
If you guys ever wonder why I don't talk as much in the show as I did, like when we did this before. Oh, there's the podcast. Anyway, but
I thought
anyway,
that was a monkey.
It does. She does kind of look like a monkey, doesn't she? But anyway, that being said, there's a lot of stuff going on down in the world this week. So I'd say we just get right into it, boys. So across the world yesterday, we saw something I don't think I've ever seen before. Well, other than for coronavirus, but I mean that's different, obviously. Due to the really, we lost Phil.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Well, hopefully he comes back. Obviously, we really want to get his opinion on this stuff. But basically what happened, Tony, across the nation last night and the night before, leading into Wednesday, I believe there was a lot of teams that, due to the events that took place surrounding the police shooting that took place, I believe it's out in Wisconsin, right? They decided not to play any games, any practices, all across the world, across all different sports, except for the NHL, which we might talk about, but obviously I just wanted to throw that out there. That was obviously a missing organization in there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and send him the link again just to be sure. And I'm sorry, guys, I did not expect this to have this technical snafu this early. He might have gotten a phone call or something, so we may have to just wait. But we can move on to we could talk about something else.
I think he can jump in once he gets back in.
Yeah, I just don't know how long that's going to be. So I'm trying to figure out what to pad in the meantime. Yeah, I guess just go ahead and give me your thoughts on this whole sports world just coming together, Tony, and sort of deciding that it wanted to make a stand separately from anything anyone else is doing independently. And how do you think this will affect things going forward in terms of change?
I mean, I think it's a good thing. I mean, I think everyone standing together is a good thing. We all need to as human beings. I mean, people keep bringing it up that this is, a racial issue. Again, it's a human being issue. Nobody deserves to be treated the way these people have been treated. And it makes me sick that my sons are going to grow up into this, that they have to deal with this kind of stuff. I mean, it's 2020. There's a world pandemic going on. We can't keep people healthy just from a simple virus. And we're still dealing with excuse my language, the bullshit from people that treat other people differently because of the color of their skin. I mean, it's ridiculous to me that this is the times we're living in. I mean, I don't know. It works me up, and it makes me sick, to be honest. I mean, I never realized this kind of stuff until, of course, I got older, because I didn't have to deal with it. I mean, my parents, we had people of all kinds of colors around us, and it was never anything different. I mean, it was never anything. I mean, y'all hear, people hear me say it all the time. Phil is my brother. Garrett's my brother. My son, calls both of them uncle. It just amazes me that this is what the world is dealing with right now. We can't even keep people healthy.
Right. But I think we're a small percentage of those people, that's that actually is an example to how people should be. But I totally think this is a racial issue. With the boycotting and everything for how it was done. Because honestly, okay, so the guy walks to his truck, but they gun him down 7 times. We've already had something going on. It's already sensitive out here in the world anyway. Just like putting sugar on top of shit. And then, and just to add a little bit of extra seasoning on top of the sugar, for instance, they had the guy walking down the street who had just shot 2 protesters. Even though the protesters did come and bust him in the back of his head, because he had an AR-15 on, and the police just let him walk right on by. Matter of fact, asked him if somebody's hurt up there. They didn't even ask him, "Are you the one that hurt the motherfuckers?"
Right.
I'm sorry to say like that, but I mean, he walking around with a pistol on and a pistol, and it's a white dude. And off the rip, they didn't know if he was they assumed that he had to be somebody helping. So they actually stopped and asked him, "Is somebody hurt up there?" That's bull. That is a prime example of racial profiling. And you know, it's something that we can't control because it's been embedded in people's mind state, you know, to have it like that. And that's what the problem is with the police, because I think they're trained sometimes to take on the black culture as a threat. Because you can put the same situation in a black man's shoes walking up the street with an AR-15. They would have stopped all them cars and surrounded him. They wouldn't even went to the riot or to see him was shooting. There's no way.
Or if they did, it would have been after they'd already thrown him in a car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they would have pulled draw guns immediately. You walking around with a, let me walk around with a pellet gun and walk past the police now. Just
That
now, just walk past one
we
with
had
a
that
pellet gun.
situation in this state. I think there was I believe, I want to say, and Phil, correct me if I'm wrong, I want to say like a couple of years ago we had a news story here where a very similar thing happened. There was a gentleman of an African American gentleman, if you don't mind me saying, you know, happened to have a pellet gun and went to like one of the department stores and started threatening people or something like that and got shot. Granted, he was threatening people, but it was still a pellet gun. And once they figured out, I mean, if I'm being completely honest, if a cop can't tell the difference between a gun and a not gun, problem there, you know. And if we're making gun toys that look too much like guns, that's also a problem. But that's not the issue here. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Now I know our videos probably scare the hell out of people. Like some of the videos and stuff, you know, that black people do, you know, probably scare the hell out of people. You know, we like Draco 223, but still, as a trained police officer, you have to know the difference. That is a prime example. One day, you have a man going to the car with two kids in the car. Like, most likely he's not going to grab a pistol. Shoot him 7 times in the back. 7 times in the back. Not even pull out a taser. You could have tased them and knocked them out. But they had their guns drawn before he even walked away. And he had on the tank top. He was, you know, damn near no shirt on. Compared to, but then you got these riots going on in Kenosha. And like I say, dude walking up the street with an AR, I mean, spot it. This is a big ass gun. This is a big ass gun. And they'll shoot at him. That's when the NBA stepped in and was like, oh, that's it now. That's the bottom line. I'm pissed off about that. Like, dang, they should have jumped out as soon as they seen the dude with the AR-15. They should have jumped out. I can't believe I seen the video. But it was like, is people up there hurt? He's like, yeah. He didn't say, yeah, I'm the one that shot them motherfuckers. He's like, yeah, it's people up there hurt. And they took off and went up there to help him. I'm like,
well,
there was these two. I'm sorry, Tony. I just wanted to get this in there. There was this thing posted on Twitter yesterday that was like 2 stories from the New York Times regarding both of these news stories we were just talking about, and one of them was talking about how I don't have the name of the guy, but the guy that got shot in Kenosha, the guy that was shot initially that caused everything to begin with or whatever. And
his name was Jacob Blake.
Jacob Blake had a knife in his car is the first news story by the New York Times, followed by Kyle Rittenhouse being spotted. I think that's the name of the guy that did the shooting, right? The one afterward, being spotted cleaning up graffiti. And the Twitter post was, y'all see what's going on here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just crazy. Isn't that just crazy how that gets perceived in the media differently and how they try and frame it differently?
Throw the knife at him or come out and throw a knife at him. First of all, it's been people brought out. Another example, dude walking around with an AR-15. If I was walking around, walked up to them and I had a knife out or a machete, they would have jumped out the car quick as hell. They wouldn't have asked me if people up there hurt. Like, you heard the gunshots. You see this dude with an AR-15. He only 17 years old. 17, not even grown man. And he looked 17. He looked like he's 16 years old.
Yep.
You see how terrified he looked in the camera when the cameras were on him too? It just shows you how in over his head he was. I mean, personally, I am not saying that the guy's not an asshole, but what I will say is I definitely don't think the way all this stuff has been shown on TV helped the situation at all.
Oh no,
That's how
they
that shit happened in Oregon.
have to sell the news though.
That's how that happened in Oregon. Same type of situation. When you see someone walking, you like, I'm just saying he white. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
well, they just turn their cheek. They're more busy looking to see what black people gonna act up. And I ain't gonna lie, black people in the part we act up like we gangsters walk around. You know, it's like in this, in that. You know, talk a lot of trash. You know, act really aggressive with stuff. But at the same time, as a trained police officer, you have to be able to know the difference. You can't let nobody pass you over with a gun, especially like it's already set. And plus, it's with all the sensitive stuff going on right now, you can't just walk up and grab somebody and shoot their back out with 2 kids in the car. They understand he had 2 kids in the car too. And he stood there for a minute. And he was really breaking up a domestic fight that he didn't really have nothing to do with between 2 other people. He was the one breaking up the fight. So he thought he could leave.
You know what I will say?
The fights broke up.
At this point,
So
Phil,
you deal with them.
I appreciate you trying to give people the benefit of the doubt, Phil, but at this point, I don't think giving people like this excuses is going to help anything. Yeah, I'm just being honest. Like they just need to just accept that they need to stop either A, stop being racist, which is probably not going to happen, or they just need to go back to what they were doing before, which is pretending like they don't exist. Which is,
I ain't giving the police the benefit of a doubt. I'm telling them they pieces of shit for that one. Because, like I say, he broke up the fight. He sat up there and he was like, well, you all are here now. You all can finish breaking up this fight, and I'm about to leave. And they draw guns on him.
You were saying was like about the culture. There is a culture there, right, in the rap community, but the culture of a rap community, a culture of a music industry. I'm sorry, if a bunch of teenagers in the 1980s had started going around devil worshiping, stabbing people to death, I would think that was wrong too. You know?
Yeah. But like, you got a lot of rock and roll.
But I don't think that's what's happening. I don't think that's what's happening here. I don't think that's what's causing people to be in these situations. I think it's socioeconomics that did that.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, they're profiling. They're looking at one thing, and it's the color of his skin. He's dangerous.
And how did he end up in that high crime area in the first place? Oh yeah, because he wasn't allowed to live in the area that was nicer because he was told no by the mortgage company, or actually this place is better. This is more what you can afford. Like, no, this is not some kind of issue where they can just be like, oh, it was the culture. No, the culture's been there. What do you think created that culture in the first place, first of all? Second of all, why do you think
the government created that culture? They push everybody into that urban society. Like the dude that came up there that was 17, he came all the way from out of town. He wasn't even from there. They came and it says he's trying to help protect the businesses there. That's bullshit. Somebody should have shot him. I'm sorry, I'm lying, but like no, I'm saying that's bullshit. Talking about,
feel free to swear on this one. It's
he came there to talk about. He came there to protect the businesses around there, to keep them from getting destroyed. That's bullshit. You know what I mean? And even if you was coming to protect the business weren't getting attacked, you should have been in front of the business that you was protecting, not standing out there in the street or even trying to escape. And people coming and hit you in the head, you get up and shoot 2 people. That's get the same treatment for that. And just like you would never ever like really see a white dude walk to his car like, well, this is some bullshit, I'm leaving. And they ain't just gonna grab him and just shoot him like 7 times in the back. Like I can see 1, 2, 7 times, ain't not even one shot would have been pow, you know. Get your hand and shoot him right in the shoulder or something. I mean, but no, 7 times. Fortunately, the man didn't die, but he's still paralyzed from the waist down.
Yeah.
For some bullshit. For breaking up a fight, for being a good Samaritan. He could have said, fuck that fight. And went on his own business. I ain't breaking up shit. But because he stepped in and broke up a fight in the hood, which was going to get the police involved, and then tried to leave because he had his kids in the car, like he tired of talking about it. He broke up the fight. The police are there, they could break up the rest. Tried to get in his car, and they busted him. There wasn't no gun in the car, and they had the nerve to say some dumb shit like he had a knife in his car. That's the dumbest shit I ever heard. First of all, you'll never bring a knife to a gunfight, so you don't even want trying to come pop up with a knife and go back there to the police who's holding guns unless he was on crack or something.
Yeah, I don't understand how like him having a knife or anything like that would justify it because he didn't have a knife in his hand. He wasn't running at the cops with a knife in his hand.
Again, bullets 2 through 7 had no justification. Bullet 1, okay,
Maybe bullets 1 and 2. I'll give him 2 because sometimes you miss or you don't get you don't kill them. Right?
It shouldn't be 1. It should be he should have been tased or anything. They could have tased him.
That's
or
where I
got loud like stop or I'll shoot.
I will agree.
I agree on that. I agree on that more than I do.
Even to take
the second bullet, that's a debate about whether they should even have guns at that point. Honestly, truthfully, if it's 2 through 7 we're talking about, because why even have 1?
Like they draw it out on him while he was walking away. That's what the problem is, guy. That comes with me. Like while he was walking away, if they draw it out on him when he got to the car, that'd have been different. But he already had seen that they had no weapon. He was sitting there talking to him. They was talking amongst each other. He walked away while the police officers were talking to each other. He wasn't against the car, getting frisked down, nothing. He walked the fucking way, and they pulled their guns out while he was walking away.
Yeah, and that's a good point where you can definitely take some what makes me so upset about the situation, how avoidable it was. If they'd have just sat and talked with the dude for 5 minutes, they'd have realized the situation and just let him go anyway. I mean,
or instead of pulling their guns, they could have ran up and just grabbed them by shoulders.
There's
like,
tackles
hey, hold
and
on.
takedowns that they're meant to take in these situations.
But still, you're not getting people that's walking away from you. Somebody turn their back on you, you're not grabbing them by their shoulders and turn them around like, hey man, I'm still talking to you, motherfucker. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't walk with somebody walking away. You pull a gun on them. They ain't even halfway around this car yet. They drew their guns.
Cowardly.
As soon as
really
he started
cowardly
to walk off.
They waited until he was looking away until they drew their weapons. That's really cowardly, in my opinion.
He didn't walk away and say, I'm finna shoot y'all motherfuckers. Like, he walked away like, fuck this, I'm done. Was gonna leave.
And here's what I will say: if he had gone to his car, grabbed his knife, and then ran at the cops, okay, that's a different situation. That didn't happen though, and a completely different way than that happened, in a way that makes the cops look really bad in the situation, is what happened. And
they bet on this one. He walked away, and they drew their guns as soon as he started walking.
It's just so bad, man. Like I don't understand how people could like try. And I guarantee you, 100%, there's somebody out here trying to defend this. You know what I mean? Like there's somebody out there.
There definitely is. I mean,
and it bothers me on a personal level that there's somebody out there that thinks this was the right thing.
Still, there's no excuse, none for this. There just isn't. Like, there's no scenario where this makes sense. At all.
Yep, that's why I understand that's why I understand sports and everybody boycotting, because damn, even if you try to push the issue to the side and say, well, it's just this occurrence, but it's getting ridiculous now. Now that's a ridiculous occurrence. Even the police officers, knowing of the sensitivity of what's going on, and people are still out there protesting and stuff. You still gonna be stupid and do some dumb shit like that? Like that. That's like that means
things are right now. Look at this kid. This kid probably had nothing to do with any of this 2 years ago. He probably saw some right-wing post somewhere that made him think, I've got to defend liberty and all this, and it drew him up into this. And think about it, that's how you radicalize people, right? You take young people who don't know enough about the world, who want to have a leader to look to, and you give them some kind of ideals. Like obviously this kid was given by something. And then they join some armed group like a militia, and this happens. This is what happens over in the Middle East, just on a smaller scale. You know what I mean?
And there's something that gets me too. Now, Trump's bent on protecting the Second Amendment. And I feel the Second Amendment. Fuck yeah, I want to have the right to bear arms. But I don't want to be I want to be able to bear my arms to use it if needed to be in a correct situation. But if I bear arms, I'm automatically a threat. Like, damn, if he would have had a gun on him, just think if he had a gun on him, this wouldn't even be a case right now. If he did have a gun.
If he owned a gun at all, probably they would have thrown it out completely. Even though the protesters wouldn't have. They'd be like, oh, well, he had a gun, so clearly that's what was going on. But it's just like, no.
Instead, he had 2 kids in the car.
Like the one that comes into my head, there's one that I can't think of. You remember the one? I can't remember where this was. There was the guy that was sleeping in his car or whatever, and he had a gun in the car. Like, that's one thing. He had a gun in the car. more than likely it was involved in that situation, given how things were with guns drawn on him, right? Probably, because there was a gun right there in his lap, right? Doesn't mean he had it drawn, but there was a gun there. It's kind of hearsay at that point, right? So, and body cam footage isn't really definitive. I've seen it, so it's like whatever, right? But that's a little bit grayer of a situation than this. This is quite clearly definitively one way, and you can't defend it. If you're defending it out there, I really would like to know what point you're using to defend it, because this kid is kind of the kid is certainly indefensible. These cops are even less defensible.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and some of this is like a communication between races. Like, I feel like sometimes white people don't know how to communicate with black people that are hostile, and hostile black people get aggressive towards hostile white people. Their opinion. So a lot of this comes from lack of communication. It's just like when you seen the police walk up to the white guy that had AR-15. It's like, hey, is anybody hurt up there? They felt like they were speaking, that they could speak as like their language was speaking together. A black dude walk up there, hey, but I don't know, them motherfucker might be fucked up there. I don't know. I can't say shit. They're like, man, where you got that gun? Get on the ground. You know what I mean? The lack of communication and understanding plays a big part in this too.
Yeah,
but just because you can't understand somebody, I mean, stereotype it.
I think we
automatically.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're all at the same. I just think we're all at the same point at this point, which we hit at the beginning, which is that I can't believe we're in the middle of a global pandemic and we still can't get over the fact that we don't look the same. You know?
Yeah.
Right. We got this pandemic going on.
Way more important.
We damn near lost basketball.
No, okay. Let me rephrase it. It's not that way more important stuff is going on. Clearly, this stuff is really important. There are big issues in the country that we need to be able to deal with as a nation right now, and unification is one of the things we need for that, for sure. As you can see, because of these homogenous nations across the world are doing not homogenous. These nations across the world that are melting pots, but not so much as ours, are doing way better with this because their societies are mostly made up of either one ethnic group or they're made up of a majority of people. They all identify as one way. Well, in America right now, we have an identity problem. And we've had it for years. And see, I don't know how to fix that.
Like how we get along and like Steve A. Smith and Matt Kellerman, they can have a conversation and talk about stuff, you know, but that's being built in like Matt's, you know, he did a lot of boxing with a lot of black boxers. So he's been, I guess, a little bit more comfortable in his shell around black people. Steve Smith's been around a lot of white people. So he's more comfortable in his shell, but everybody ain't like that. And that's the problem with these police is they need to do like a racial, like some kind of training that has something to do with race, because unfortunately, these white cops are scared for their life. They feel like black person is, and some of that goes off of the stereotype of seeing how aggressive black people are sometimes. But what do you expect? Like if you continue to do shit like that you have to expect an aggressive response. I'm sick and tired of it. I witnessed it myself. I've been treated like shit, and I'm like, even when I had my store, when I was general manager at Papa John's, I called the police up there. They're like, okay, somebody called the police up here. I called you, motherfucker. Mm-hmm. And somebody came up here talking trash in my store, talking about they about to kick my ass. I'm the one that called. Oh, it sounds like you on the phone. All right. Can we go ahead and take care of this?
No shit.
That's you know what I mean? That's down, you know, like that's just the presumption is that it's just sad. I guess I haven't really been paying attention to the political conventions personally. I know that Obama and Michelle, I think, both spoke at the Democratic one or something like that. Yeah, everybody loves Barack. I loved Obama when he was president. He was great. It was really cool to see the first black president when I was a kid, you know. It's just kind of sad that this is where we're still at after that, though. Not that I thought that was going to magically solve everything, but I thought that would at least put us in a better place as a society. But it seems to have just, I hate to say this, and this is the truth, though, and I know you know this to be true, Phil. It seems like it just upset a lot of people that were really quiet for a really long time, that had these feelings, and they're just showing them now. It's kind of sad. Yeah,
I'm not gonna be quiet about it. And like these political conventions to me are like a freaking reality show. It's a freaking circus. Everyone's coming up here. They got people cheering like we watching the fucking Jerry Springer show. Jerry,
it's It's just it's reality TV at this point. You're right. Trump turned. Let's be real.
Right.
Trump turned politics into reality TV.
Yep.
That's what he did. That's what he did.
There's going to be 4 more years of it because he's going to get elected again.
And it sucks, but Joe Biden is too weak of a candidate.
I mean, it's not that, but people are not going to get out and vote for, the opposition. I mean,
that's what I mean. That's the definition of a weak candidate, Tony. That's what I mean. They just don't want to vote for him, and because of that.
I'm willing to vote for Biden just to get him the hell out, get Trump out of the office. But
you know what?
Biden did. I think he is totally with the comments he makes.
That cat loves you
and his family because he has things. Don't get me wrong, but just the remarks he makes him seem stupid. He talks like
Biden made a bad move. Not saying that Kamala Harris ain't a bad vice president candidate, but damn, he hit somebody that black people don't like. That's a black person that black people don't like. A lot of them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like straight up, like, man, there's a lot of, and she got a lot of people locked up in jail. And even though some of them might have been guilty and doing the wrong things, and she got a good head on her shoulder, some people just ain't gonna look past that. Because some people don't look into detail and research to find out why the people locked up. Only thing they see is the people that she locked up that they ended up finding out were innocent later on. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of backslided because Joe Biden was ahead a lot more before he put Kamala on there. But that's somebody, a lot of people like her. I mean, I'm not going to say she's a bad candidate. She got sense. She know how to speak. She's got intellect and she's real effective the way she speaks. You know what I mean? She has a good thinking, but even still, you have to look at the way these people battle each other. Even the Republicans that was going against Donald Trump didn't go against him like that. They didn't go hard like the Democrats went against the Democrats. Like when Kamala was running for president, she was going on Joe Biden talking about sexual what's that? Sexual assault. Yeah.
But like Garrett was about to say, sexual misconduct. I think
stuff that's not like you're not raping somebody. Yeah, or even like a step away from that. You're just like you're doing something they don't want, but they don't.
She was passionate. And she had to drop out because so many black people went against her because of some of the things that she did when she was a legislator or when she was a prosecutor, locking people up. So she had to drop out the race. Even after she smashed Joe Biden, like she was crushing him, she was trying to, but it wasn't going down because, Joe Biden has a record and he's been a politician for over 50 years. So he's been in the game for a long time.
Like think about every major bill Congress has passed in the last, like you said, 50 years. You've probably had some piece in that, So it's like,
honestly, like I'm glad to see a black woman, the first vice president candidate. But honestly,
the thing is, she's probably realistically going to be the actual president. Should they get elected, she will probably be the real de facto president because I don't think Biden's all the way there.
I mean, but really, I think I should have ran with Elizabeth Warren. Just me personally.
They probably would have picked up a lot more of those radical left side people that seem to populate a lot of the left at this point, because a lot of the young left seem to be very radicalized, and they would have definitely been behind Warren for sure, especially if he's using that fiery language,
Right, and then what's going on right now, it's like, what can Kamala say? Like Biden addressed the issue earlier today, talking about the violence, but he tried to come on he tried to back Trump up a little bit about what he was saying. Like violence and he's rioting is bad. That is the wrong thing. I mean, it's the right thing probably to say morally, but it's the wrong thing to say right now. When you get ready to run for the election in 2 months, to say to come up and agree with Trump right now. I'm just saying, like, the way this battle's going on, you can't jump on there and be like, hey, this violence is going on, to stop it, the rioting. No, the violence does need to stop, but these people ain't listening. What's going on? It's only gonna get worse. It's like the last level of Jumanji and shit. You know what I'm saying? You got coronavirus. You have
all these people
racial jump.
So many years, they've got to get them out, and we've got to get the young people excited and get them interested in politics. I mean, honestly, until we get these old ass people, and I used to make jokes about it all the time, but it's really true. Until these old ass people with all these old ass views die, there's not going to be any change.
And thankfully, it looks like a lot of the younger generation. And Phil, I think you've seen this too, right? It looks like a lot of the younger generation is even less racially biased. You know, they just seem to not care at all. They're not being raised that way.
Yeah, things are so mixed up. That's why I say things will change in the next 20 years. But these older people get their last run before they go.
And there'll be at least another generation probably of racist people just because of the people that are adults now that are racist. There'll be at least one more. Hopefully by the end of that, there's not still those people, but who knows, you know?
No, the younger generation isn't about race. It's about gay, straight, and other shit.
Yeah, like, they're not seeming to be as concerned about it as what I've noticed.
They're more focused on like sexual preference, it seems like the younger generation. Like you could say this F word, like the dude that was commentating, who was that? Commentating the baseball game?
Cincinnati Reds guy, yeah.
Yeah, and he accidentally jumped.
We know somebody that probably knows that guy. That's the funny part. We know somebody that probably knew that guy.
He looked down. He was like, look at these, you know, F words down here on the field. He was
we'll say F slur to avoid demonetization in the future should we get monetization. But yeah,
I mean, he apologized. He apologized before he finished his commentary. Like that was that's the worst bomb you could drop. You could almost drop the N word before you drop the F word. Nowadays, like.
I think either way you get canceled, but I agree with you. It definitely does feel like they're getting
young people get on your ass. You talk about some rainbow.
Yeah, if you talk about sexual issues like that, yeah, you're definitely gonna have a lot more people that'll rise up against you on like social media for sure. There's a lot more active young people in that regard. The difference is when racial issues happen, they just rise up in the country. There's a difference right there. Instead of just coming after you on social media, they actually do something, and I respect those people a lot more for that. That's just me, though. You know,
like Ella said something that was finished. She was finna quit.
Like you don't see oh my gosh, I want to make this skit now. You don't see a bunch of LGBT people like burning buildings down and making a point, actually, like making a physical damage point, like saying this is what this caused. You know what I mean? This is what you have to deal with because you didn't fix this issue.
That's true.
You know, like you don't see them doing that because they don't actually care as much because it doesn't matter as much to their personal identity as whether or not will I walk out my door and you know I'm gonna get shot. You know, like. Because of being who I am, you know, like there's a difference between, I might get, and I'm not trying to diminish what the LGBT community go through. There is violence in that community too. Look, there's a whole reason why we thought Jussie Smollett was so reasonably to believe because that stuff does happen, you know, but at the same time, it's like reality of the situation is like, there's, like I said, there's so much going on right now, too much in the world for us to have to like, look at each other and be like, but do we really like each other? Like, no, of course we have to. If we don't, what are we going to do with society? What, we just burn it all down and say, screw it and say, all right, go back to your, go to your own groups and be that. Like, no, we can't do that, obviously. Right. Like, you know what I mean?
Ages are just changing. And then in the midst of all this stuff going on with the coronavirus, you got these people rioting, you got race wars, you got the gay wars, all this sexual shit. And then you still got
can we make that a reality show?
Natural disasters coming out.
Oh, I would love to see that reality show.
You still got natural disasters
of the gay war. We're coming to you from the front lines of the gay war.
This is the gayest war I've ever seen. I've never seen more gays in a war once in my life. I don't even allow it in my own military anymore.
Well, yeah. You definitely have somebody stupid that has nothing to do with it making comments about it.
Absolutely.
I did with Donald Trump Jr. making these stupid remarks about the NBA players.
Yeah, I know. Like, can we just get Donald Trump? Can we all just agree that if Trumps are not the Kennedys, we don't need them out speaking at these conventions? No. I'm sorry. I respect that he tried to get Kushner and Ivanka and all those people involved in the government, right? Fair enough. Make your kids politicians if that's what you want to do. If Ivanka wants to go into politics, whatever. Give her a job in the office. Yeah. That way she can use that to make a political
career. Give her Monica Lewinsky's job.
Well, Trump.
Well, maybe not while he's in office, but yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, definitely while he's in office. Definitely while he's in office.
I mean, he probably would. Let's be honest, but still.
Exactly. He made a comment that his daughter was hot or some shit like that.
If she wasn't my daughter, I mean, you know how it is. If she wasn't my daughter,
like. I have an attractive daughter. It was like, yeah, my daughter's fucking hot. Like what?
Yeah. He talked about his dog.
It's a bit concerning.
And you seen on backlash Melania got when she went up there and did her speech because she couldn't speak English all the way, which is like she still.
Wasn't the last time she spoke the big deal that she stole a Michelle Obama speech or something? She can't even write her own speeches. Yeah,
I mean, she didn't want them translators the other like doing the thing where they be making the faces like.
Okay, so we have a couple of things we can go to. They're all kind of departures from what we've been talking about the whole time. And I'll just throw them all out there and see what you guys think. What you want to go to? So we have the hurricanes to talk about still, the ridiculous, the large hurricane. We also have coronavirus, and I think if you just want to break up, the monotony a little bit between the serious stuff, we could talk about Mike Tyson.
Oh yes, let's talk Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Here we go. Perfect. All right, then we'll jump to the other ones. Cool. So we have the fight now. We didn't last time we talked about it, I believe.
Yeah.
I wrote it down.
Roy Jones. Now,
Roy Jones.
This is something I like to talk about. Now, Roy Jones is a good boxer, and like he finesse and everything, but he got a glass job. He get hit, he is out. Tyson, if you can make it through 6 rounds, if you make it through 6 rounds with Tyson, then maybe his jaw turns into glass. But if you ain't got him in the first 6 rounds, he whoop your ass.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So you think if this goes longer than the 6, Tyson's going to knock him out because his glass jaw is there the whole time versus Tyson will gas out eventually and not be able to continue.
Yeah,
but it's going to take him longer to do that.
You'll beat him.
I think I agree with you. I think Tyson's probably going to get the knockout before that happens, just because Tyson knows how limited of a clock he has before he's starting to gas out. So especially with how much older he is, I kind of agree with you on that. I think it'll still be a good fight, though. I think Roy Jones is going to put up every amount of time, every second he can get off that clock, he's going to try and get off, until he gets to that
but you got it,
then it becomes a fight.
Roy Jones has done a lot of fights to where he's went the distance, 12 rounds. So he's more of a conditioning.
He's an
fighter.
endurance guy. He may just go with the endurance. Think about that. If he trains all endurance, all stamina, he could win this fight on that alone, and not even. I mean, obviously, you still have to learn how to fight, but like. There's some good argument if he can last longer than Tyson that he can win,
Right.
Like,
but you got to take on a 50-some-year-old Mike Tyson with a 6-pack, got a mean, and he coming back.
And something to prove, too, because he's stepping back in after years.
And he want to beat your ass. Like, he planning on kicking your ass. Like
something to prove and nothing to lose, because if he loses, everyone's just going to say, well, yeah, he was too old. Whereas if Roy Jones loses, they're like, how did he lose to Mike Tyson? I mean, it's Mike Tyson, but it's still, he's old. People, that'll be the story. That's the crazy thing.
If Roy Jones loses, people are going to be like, I knew he was going to knock his ass out.
Well, yeah, of course, that's what the people are going to say. They'll be like, well, even though you go back 2 videos ago, I said that I didn't think it. I actually do think it now. It's like, wait, of course you did, sports guy. But, no, but I mean, I think it is really fun. I'm definitely going to buy. Maybe not going to buy the pay-per-view. I'm definitely going to find a way to watch it afterward, like if there's a streaming option for it or something like that. I don't think I'll be able to watch it live.
It's going to be a thriller.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely watch it after it gets posted for sure. Okay, so I'll probably just get a subscription or something like that and then watch it.
Yeah, Roy Jones is a more conditioned fighter. So I would say that if it go past round 6, it might turn into a lazy fight. I mean, it's only 8 rounds anyway.
Kind of like how
that's why I think Roy Jones is gonna get his ass whooped, because the fight is only 8 rounds. So it's not even a 12-round option. So Tyson, if he can go hard for 8 rounds, which I know he can, unless he come out there just swinging and banging, but 8 rounds, that's a different story, Roy. You're playing Roy can go the distance. He's a good point fighter. Is in getting points. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when he was younger, he was doing a little knocking out. Mike Tyson was knocking people out older and younger. You gonna get in there, and I think Roy Jones is gonna get the hell out.
Tyson probably only has to land 1 punch to the jaw to knock him out. More realistically speaking, because of the power. Even though he's older, he's still got the ridiculous power. And
Tyson goes.
And that's the danger zone for Roy Jones. If this fight goes, if it starts to get out of hand quickly in the first couple of rounds, he's gonna have a real problem trying to get back in there and extend the fight, because all it's going to take is a couple of really strong body shots from Tyson. I mean, you've seen what it looks like when he hits it, when he does the 1-inch punch on the heavy bag. It's not good. It's not good for the heavy bag.
He's going to the body.
So if he can get into a clinch with Jones and do some damage to the body with some punches, it might be over before it's over. You know what I mean? Because it may be one of those things where he's still recovering from that damage, trying to get himself back together, and boom, there's the knockout strike. You know what I mean? Like, it's Mike Tyson is one of the smartest boxers of all time. You know, like he knew what he was doing. Like, there's a reason why he's talked about as one of the greatest. You know, like because or at least one of the most entertaining to watch, right? Like because it was a spectacle. Right. Every time Mike Tyson got up on a fight, it was a spectacle. Who is he going to knock out this week? Will they make it to the first round?
It used to piss you off, though. You didn't pay all this money to see a fight, and
and then it ended in 30 seconds, and a bunch of people lost millions of dollars on bets that they was going to make it to the second round or whatever.
Yeah, I paid $60 to see this fool get knocked out in 30 seconds.
Yeah. But you know what? I do the same. I don't really pay for it. Not that I'm advocating, definitely buy the stuff out there, people. But I do, occasionally pirate a UFC pay-per-view or whatever,
I ain't gonna lie, I do want to see this. I think it's gonna be funny because I think Tyson's gonna just dig in him. Like he's gonna be like, "Oh, Roy Jones, he didn't got knocked out by Tarver."
I think it'd be kind of fun too if maybe some of the other boxers don't want to fight Tyson or something like that. If he wants to do another fight, say he wins, right? You could probably bring in a UFC heavyweight. I'm sure there'd be at least one that'd be interested, like Cormier or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, just bring in a heavyweight, maybe one of the retired ones that's not who's done MMA fighting, but. Even though they're not as long as it's not like a concussion thing or something,
I think McGregor kind of
come get some concussion issues in boxing, fighting Mike Tyson. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have any concussion issues, come get some.
I think McGregor messed it up for UFC people coming into boxing when he went against Floyd Mayweather.
You think they think that's not going to happen anymore? You don't think they won't go back to that? I think you're probably right.
I think McGregor fucked it up.
I think now that Mayweather. Well, I agree. I think now that Mayweather hasn't been offered like a fight and it's been years, you know what I mean? Like, it probably isn't going to happen at this point.
UFC and boxing are two totally different things because you can kick somebody out their leg. And plus your gloves are not as thick. You understand? Like people in UFC got like centimeter gloves. It's practically a fist. Boxing, you have a glove. You have to, like Mike Tyson, when he used to come out and fight, he always dug his knuckles into his gloves, so his knuckles was at the end of the gloves. He dug a hole in his shit. Like if you ever see boxers, they dig it because they got this much thick. You know what I'm saying? When they go on a box, this is how much thickness. So you have to really know how to punch somebody to make this much thickness knock somebody out. In UFC, you have this much thickness. So you can punch somebody, but if you put this bigger glove on somebody in UFC, I bet you everybody in UFC would be doing chokeholds and grabbing. It wouldn't even be. They wouldn't even be boxing out there. They'd be like, if they changed UFC and made their gloves had to be like, thick with some inches. I guarantee you that it'll be a wrestling match. It'll be WWE.
I think it has to do with more than anything, just like injuries. Like it's supposed to be about keeping your hands from getting hurt from punching or whatever. Of course, obviously, you saw people break a hand occasionally just because, it happens.
Right.
If somebody in the temple, your finger breaks or whatever, it happens.
And then the same thing, too. If you go against a professional boxer that used to fight with gloves this thick and they fight you with something this thick,
they may find it. You know what? The thing is, it might be a heavier glove, so it might actually be harder to throw a punch.
Yeah, that's saying it's hard to throw a punch with gloves
I think the boxing glove is actually lighter, but the glove from UFC might actually be heavier on your hand. Like
no, trust me, I've done it. But the gloves from boxing are a little bit heavier and they weigh more after you've been fighting for a while. Them UFC gloves, if a regular boxer had on UFC gloves and hit you, they gonna probably kill you. You're probably gonna die. They're planning to punch you with something this thick. So they punch you with something that's damn near you can stick your knuckle out the tip of your glove. Oh no. That's why I don't think they'll do the UFC thing. Like with the boxing, like Roy Jones, Mike Tyson's good. Now they could put somebody up against there, but it'd have to be McGregor, I think, was the best shot. And we already seen what happened when you got them gloves on. McGregor
got artists in the heavyweight division. That's why I was seeing like a retired heavyweight from the UFC or something like that. Someone who was like from that knockout artist era of the heavyweights, like would be fun. But I don't think anyone will be willing to step up and fight Tyson, to be honest, especially if he wins against Roy Jones.
I'd do it for the money.
I would do it for the money as well. That was always the question you get asked by your friends when you take $1 million to get punched out by Mike Tyson. It's like, well, yeah, but I also don't want to be paralyzed, so maybe not.
You get you get punched out by Mike Tyson. You're like, $1 million.
It's like you're taking a big risk there, but it better be enough money to pay off your medical bills. That's all I'm saying. You know, like
they would talk like this forever. Never like
Tyson's like, you only got $500,000, and you're not even gonna be able to pay for the bills. You know, like you know what I mean? Like
you could be like, I got $1 million. I put my Tyson. I did.
I got $1 million. Guys, I got $1 million, but I can't move.
I'm gonna go give you some hoes. Look, you gotta turn neck like Kermit. Look, for the rest of your life, you gotta turn your neck like Kermit the Frog. You gotta be like,
Yeah,
you gotta do your shoulders. You can't even turn your neck anymore.
For that graphic up, oops. But anyway, so yeah, so
you gotta.
Mike Tyson still trying to stay relevant, aren't we all these days? So
Here we are.
So this hurricane is crazy. What's going on with this, guys? Why is it the year that we're doing the least to the environment this happens? Like, I don't get it, man. Maybe that's what we've learned. We need to be on the offensive. Maybe that's what we need to be. We need to be fighting the environment. Otherwise, it's gonna fight. But no, I'm just kidding. But like,
I don't know.
20-foot storm surge? What? That's literally unsurvivable. Is how they're describing it. What is going on? This world, 2020 is ridiculous.
Donald Trump is like both for me, or it's going down. Like
Trump turned off the weather machines. That's what happened. Trump turned them off.
Trump has the most challenging. He has the most challenging presidency. Like, out of all presidents we could have had, he has the most challenging jobs of any president that has ever, I think, been in office. Like shootings, like violence. Like it's to the point where you're like, this might be your fault. Like we had shootings, boycotts, riots, diseases, everything. Like, God, I've never seen a president go through so much. And his hair still stayed blonde. He got to be dyeing his hair.
It almost as if there's problems that are in the background that we never hear about, like this kind of stuff that just gets let be out of hand when somebody who doesn't know what they're doing gets put into place.
Well, it's one of those things like everybody has that boss at their job who, you get feedback, and it's not good feedback, but your manager or boss knows, like, they're not a terrible person, so I'm going to chalk that up. It was one that I got, in a year's period, so I'm not going to say it. Like, I'm not going to say to Garrett, hey, we got this complaint about you, because it was one time, and we've looked at your, feedback and other stuff, and it's usually pretty good. Trump isn't like that. Trump tells you everything. Everything. I mean, Dave Chappelle's got a joke in one of his specials where he's like, it's like telling your kid when he comes in, like, Dad, why are you so upset? Man, I'm not going to lie. We're 3 months behind on the rent, and they're about to read us. We ain't got nowhere to go. But I want you to go to school and have a good day at school. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that Trump does. I mean, he's so ridiculous.
He's supposed to address all the situations today, the hurricanes and everything. And it's like, you really can't do nothing about the hurricanes. That's natural, but unfortunately, like the southern states, they was prepared for these storms. Thank God, but
correctly.
But that gets to the thing too, like, so you still don't believe in global warming, or I guess these storms are just, it's magic. Somebody got a storm machine and like some bad Batman character, bad guy like the Penguin got a storm machine here.
I'm going to defeat you, Batman. He-Man, I have discovered the secret weather machines.
No, but anyway, how dare you, Skeletor? But anyway. No. So I actually just got breaking news. I guess the Ravens just released a statement about demanding justice for Breonna Taylor and Jacob Blake, saying this is bigger than sports. Huge statement from the Ravens there. No surprise there. The Ravens have always obviously been really involved in social issues.
It is bigger than sports. Like this one pisses me off. I mean, this is just like they put shit on top of shit with this. Like this one, I can't help it. I don't give a damn. That's an absolute, and just the things that happen with it. Like these riots are sloppy. Like what's going on? Like the protests. I'm like, geez, it's like you would think it would be more organized after George Floyd. No, this went stupid. Now people are getting shot.
I've never seen anything like it. Because think about it. You go back 2-3 years, Phil. We had protests like this in this country. They weren't this. There was some violence, but almost every time that stuff was condemned by everybody, pretty much. You know, like
You know what I'm doing? I'm watching The Simpsons to find out what happens next. And let me tell you, what I see on The Simpsons, it don't look like it's gonna be pretty for Trump. I'm like, I mean,
that's not end well. Simpsons' future is very dark.
Yeah.
Simpsons, but they're never wrong. I'm telling you, like it's some kind of spiritual
There's a great
psychic
video
or
on Pat
something.
McAfee's channel where he breaks it all down.
Nostradamus wrote for The Simpsons. Now, if something happened to Trump, I'm never watching Simpsons again. I'll be like,
Well, you know the narrative I keep hearing. I don't know if you guys have been hearing the same thing. People think he's going to get assassinated if he wins.
Oh,
Some people out there genuinely think that.
I mean,
they tried a couple weeks ago. Somebody
with all
got
this
shot.
violence going on and this shooting, all this shooting going on, and like Putin's like sick right now in Russia. Like
Wait,
he's
Putin's
sick.
sick?
He almost died. Yeah, Putin was sick.
Dude, if Putin would have died, that would
I
have been
see.
some craziness. Because then it would have been some other Russian guy that would have taken over, and it would be even worse. Ugh.
Yes, I mean, I don't know.
Like,
Trump,
let's be honest,
like
we don't like Putin
I'll-
because Putin's shady. We'd rather have Putin than Putin's next man down, right?
yes, that would be hella karma for Trump too. Like really fighting for people's American rights to have the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, and somebody bear arms and blow his head off. Like you gotta be careful with your ass. Sometimes you might get it.
I know, like, yeah. It's unfortunate, but if they view him as a tyrannical government, would they be going against his argument? Don't think so.
But I
You
think
know?
it's more about business. It's not a
I
terrible
don't think
business,
he's
man.
he wants to be a tyrant. I think he's just doing everything wrong, and that you can do
He's
that.
not a
There have
terrible
been
businessman.
We've had bad presidents before, man. People just don't want to accept that their president that they chose, that they feel like they actually chose for once, which they still didn't. But whatever. That's
I
another
think,
debate. Yeah.
like I can't say, I mean, he got some issues and he's very irresponsible. And when I say irresponsible, is in not addressing issues and being a leader. Sometimes you just, it might be what's on your mind, but sometimes you don't say what's on your mind. It's just like if you got a girl pregnant, like you got a pregnant woman and you see she done gained 50 pounds, you don't go, man, you fat as fuck with that baby in your stomach. No, you tell her you are beautiful. And after you have this baby, you're gonna have a beautiful baby. That's a beautiful thing in what you're doing. And that's what Trump need to do in this damn country. Trump, in some cases, is doing this country like a pregnant woman. And he's telling her, God damn, you look fat. He's like, man, you look fat as fuck. I'm like, let me go buy you some big ass clothes. So that way you can put them on, bitch. Like, you know what I'm saying? Compared to when really Trump needs to do this country like, baby, I see you pregnant. You done got big with this beautiful baby inside of you. And I know it's going to birth something beautiful that we're both going to be proud of. And it's something that we're going to be able to cherish for the rest of our life, something that we got together. That's how he need to address this country. He's addressing it like the other way.
All right, so I'm going to have
problem comes up with no empathy.
Yeah, I agree. It is kind of a great metaphor to suggest that the way that Trump views America is like he's the guy that tells his pregnant wife she's fat. Yeah, that's absolutely accurate. Yeah, you look heavier these days. Like what, honey? that's the response you get. It's like, wait a minute, you don't think we're that great? When you call out America for not being great, that's what happens.
Right. America's messed up. Obama and messed up. We're suffering, and we're trying to make America great again. It's like, I'm trying to make you not fat again and try to hurry up and make you have this baby early. That's why I'm.
No. Trump's trying to rush along, going back to like being the top or whatever. It's gonna take a lot of work for that. It's not just, you can't just magically make it happen just by saying, you're not so great anymore. It's like,
see, when a woman
help anything, man. You're just making us feel bad, like.
Right, and when a woman is pregnant, she's emotional. So it takes a little bit of saying the wrong thing to set her off, and that's what he's doing with the country. He's saying a little stuff, and right now our country is emotional with all this shit going on. But when he says stuff bluntly, which sometimes it's right, sometimes wrong, it makes the emotions flare up, and you end up getting cussed out or getting shots fired and everything going off. Because if you ever had a one, like I have baby mamas, and I can tell you when they're pregnant, if I be like, shut up, bitch, why don't you take your fat ass to sleep? Like I would get holes punched in the wall, all my windows busted out, my tires flattened, everything. She would go through all hell and destruction and would like, well, I would never hear the last of even after the baby. It'd just be even worse. Now she can cartwheel on my shit like, boom. I'm like, that's like the worst thing to do. But if I treat her like nice, like, you know, this baby come, you build a more beautiful situation, which is what they need to do with this country. But he's hyping everybody up. He got the baby mama's mama. He got the baby mama's dad. He got his mom, his dad. He got the whole family arguing in turmoil right now, going through this shit. And what's happening with this country?
It's a custody battle for the heart of this nation right now.
Mm-hmm. Like Obama was like a pimp. He might have called his girl fat, but he was like, baby, you are fat in all the right places.
That's right.
He's like,
I have a certain clientele.
It's like,
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. We got the right clientele for you. You just don't get to go with Johnny over there, but you can be with Jim. Jim likes you. You know, like that's what we. Yeah, right. I get it. It didn't fix the issue, but Obama was definitely skating around the idea. I definitely get what you're saying there. This is all really nuanced stuff right now, by the way, guys. I hope you're picking all this stuff up that Phil's throwing out there. It's great. But anyway, it's all really good metaphorical stuff. This is a good meta discussion. I love it. But I do want to try and get to our last story before we, because we're about 4 to 5 minutes from the end of the show, roughly speaking. So we could go a little bit longer, but I just want to get this topic started at least before the end of the first hour of the show, which is only supposed to be about an hour anyway, but whatever, give or take. We try and give it around an hour. I like 5 minutes isn't going to kill anybody. I mean, it's more show for the people, but we do have some stuff. I don't know if there was anything specific you guys wanted to talk about, but obviously the virus is still happening. Stay inside, don't go out and party or anything.
Coronavirus. Now, I'm going to talk about this on the coronavirus. My daughter called coronavirus. I sent her the basic training to the Army. It's like for our country. Now, mind you, the irresponsibility of these people in Oklahoma, and I don't care, I'll say it out loud. Out of 175 of the cadets, 150 of them caught the coronavirus. Asymptomatic. All of them. I'm pissed off about that. My daughter's doing okay, but this virus is real out here. Like, people cannot take this as a joke. Like, it is something that is real. I personally witnessed it. And I've seen, so a lot of people are like, this is something the government made up. I'm going to tell you right now, I know that it's not bullshit.
Yeah.
People to wear their mask. I don't even know if mask is enough because, like you say, if I could fart and I got on fucking boxers and a pair of jeans, you can still smell my shit. Then I don't see how masks is gonna stop that virus from hitting you.
There's been some videos put out recently. People taking like a vape hit, which is obviously vapor, real vapor, water vapor, like it spreads through, and then blowing out with the mask on, and it just pours out of the side of the mask, and you're like, oh, so it does help. It definitely keeps it in your area, around your area.
Look, the best
but
thing
if I'm
to do,
saying, like, how we sat. Think about how close we sat to each other during the podcast. That it was close enough that I would have been infected. 100%.
Yeah.
Like.
Why not just quarantine everybody for 2 weeks? Literally, shut everything the fuck down.
We kind of did that softly. We kind of softly did that.
Listen.
Yeah. What you have to do is, and this is sad because this is going to get those guns.
No gas stations or nothing.
Because what happened?
No gas stations.
What happened when we tried to actually tell people to stay home was people rose up and said, "This is tyrannical government. I can't go outside." Like,
You're right.
Do it. You can't force people to do it, or they're going to call you a tyrannical government. So, by the way, no other nations had people rising up saying, "Oh, this is tyranny."
This is what the problem with America is. Like every other country, they were like, "Stay in your house." People were like, "Cool, we got it. We're good. We're going to stay inside. We'll sing off balconies to each other and shit." Not America. Like, fuck you. You can't keep me inside. I have rights. Yeah, you do, but you're infringing on my rights.
Then look, if we was honestly, we was quarantining, this fucking racial shit and all this shit wouldn't even happening. We wouldn't have been outside to even have this occur. Though it's something that probably needed to be addressed. But
protests and all this stuff is really great for society, it's terrible for the coronavirus. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't help things at all in terms of the virus numbers, because I guarantee you, if you did math, no one wants to do this math right now because how controversial it'll be. Bet you if you did it right now, you'd find out there's correlation between the people that went out and protested and the amount of cases there's been an increase. And
that's why the coronavirus is highest in the black communities, because we out there protesting, and it's sad because the shit is real.
Yeah. And it's not that those people out there don't know that it's a real thing. I think they know that the virus is a real thing. They just are willing to take the risk to make a political stance. You know?
I mean, look at Sturgis last week for Sturgis. We ain't calling that off. We're outlaws. Like, I'm all for being an outlaw and going against, government or just, against authority, stuff like that. But this shit will kill you. And let's be honest, it hits people that have trouble breathing. Let's think about it for a minute. We're smokers of cigarettes. What do the bikers do? And there was a surge in case, and they come from all over the country to go to the So what are they doing?
Right.
They're back out there. Like, for real. Like, I'm so aggravated.
And what is one common thing that coughers or smokers do? Cough.
Yes. I mean, a famous, what is it? It ain't a toke if you don't choke. That's a famous line for what? I mean,
it's true. I mean, it's like, it's just this year just needs to chill out. Hopefully 2021 is not as crazy as 2020, but at this point, I have no idea. But
send out another English check. Fuck that. Give me some money.
I just want to. You know what? I forgot to put this on earlier in the show. Well, anyway, but like I'm losing it today. Apparently, it happens. But anyway, like,
listen, I want to talk about Hamilton before we go.
Oh yeah, it got put on Netflix, right, or something like that.
It's on Disney Plus. Thank you.
Gotcha. Whatever. But I have Disney Plus. I haven't watched Disney Plus since. I'm gonna be honest with you, Tony. I love Disney, and I haven't watched Disney Plus since Star Wars, since The Mandalorian ended. So like,
I haven't watched Disney Plus at all.
Watch. But I was about to say, you ain't doing much of anything else but watching TV. But that's not true because you got other stuff going on. So I get that. But you need to watch Hamilton. Phil, you can come over and sit outside my house. And we got I'll put the Hamilton on and I'll put the speaker outside so you can hear. You ain't coming in, but I'll you can watch it too. And I'll put the speakers outside so you can hear it. All right.
Not even with a mask and a football helmet, like
no, because you fart, and I'm not.
He's like, I don't care. It's the farts. I don't want your corona fart. Oh man, no, but all right, no, but
I don't want to get corona anyway because you like 60. It's like more set for the older people.
Yeah, no, I'm just joking. Like, really, you can go. Like, we can watch it. I'll watch it again. Like, I've run it out. My girlfriend's like, all right, I'm done listening to the soundtrack. Because I listen to that shit all day. A couple songs in there that just pump you up, and you're like, damn. Like,
I'm just not as big of a fan of musicals personally. I've had musicals I really liked. I just have never been like one that sought out the genre. Like there was the Mary Poppins they did a while back. I didn't see that. There was another one, the one that won the Oscar. That I didn't watch. But like it's not that I don't like them. I appreciate the movies.
I like the Jackson Moonwalker.
I wasn't that interested in either. Like I saw it was coming, and I was like, okay, cool.
I might give it a watch just because everyone loves it so much. But I personally, if I was going to see Hamilton, would probably want to see it in the theater. Maybe.
Yeah, this was a good.
Y'all don't remember Michael Jackson Moonwalker?
Good for that. Like, don't get me wrong.
I haven't seen it.
It would have been amazing to see it in person too. But this is a live shit. Like they just recorded.
Yeah, it's just a recording of it. Essentially, it's just the cameras punched in on the actors, and that's cool. And I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's well produced. It's not my thing, and I would probably I want to go see that Harry Potter play at some point, but it's just such a long waiting list to get into these shows. It's annoying. I'd rather. And I'm such a purist. I love theater. I love theater actually. Like I wanted to go do theater. I wanted to go to. There was a discussion. I was talking to the theater program up at Cedarville.
I'm an actor now.
and they actually had thought I had some promise. So I thought maybe that would have been a different path for me alternatively. But I didn't end up going there because for one Cedarville you need to have like a recommendation from like a local like priest / which I could have worked out. Obviously, I could have joined a congregation and proven I'm devout and stuff like that, and it would have just been taking probably a few months or something like that of going to church or something like that. But it just felt wrong to, even though that's where I didn't personally fall at the time, to do that just to get into school. I'm sure plenty of actors have done it, but it just felt weird, to me to do that. So I ended up doing something else, still in the same sphere, but differently, But I just have never been into theater, but at least not on the personal level, but I could definitely get myself into it. Like I saw Little Women on the stage up at Cedarville when we were doing all that, and it was really well done. I really enjoyed it. And so it's not something I would be against. It's just not something I generally seek out, but I did like all the actors that I had met.
Yeah.
Getting a chance to see them act on stage and see how good they were. But I think that's pretty much it. You know what I'm surprised we haven't heard anything about in a while? This story. It seems like it kind of just died.
Well, yeah.
They haven't come up with a new name yet. We're like a couple weeks out from the season. It's weird. Maybe it won't be till next season, but still.
What was the subject? I missed it.
Oh, so I pulled up the Redskins.
What, Empire?
So no, the Redskins changing their name hasn't really.
Yeah, it's just the Washington football team right now.
They still haven't changed their name. It's weird. You'd think they would have done it. They'll probably do it like a week before the season. Either way,
that's because they're like, how acting is. That's like they consider that C-class racism, not like an A-lister.
Well, I see what you're saying. I mean, to be truthful, that's kind of probably how they view it, Phil. For being completely honest, like something like what happens with either George Floyd or the other guy, or any of these guys.
Why we gotta be a falcon? Why we can't be a condor? Just saying.
It's a good point, but I mean, like, no, but that aside, like, I think that's kind of that's how. Okay, this is what I'll end the show on before we.
Why the Patriots got to be a white dude? Why the Patriots can't be? Why the Patriots can't be a black dude?
Right, right. These are all really good questions you're asking. Why is it that something like the Redskins, which affects a group that arguably should have the most to say about stuff in this country, right? Because they were literally slaughtered by the millions, just for land, essentially. Why is that considered not as bad as somebody else having some other thing happen to them, Like, sorry, my cat's being really annoying. All right, so I'm going to end the show before my cat makes me punt her across the room, jokes aside. But, like, she's being really annoying right now. I would never do that to an animal, but, like, you guys can hear her, right? That's so annoying.
Pussy. Don't do that to the pussy.
Anyway, I'm not. There were no animals harmed in the making of this podcast, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and call it for the show so I can get her to stop because that's really annoying me. But all right, we lost Phil. It's okay. Anyway, that'll be it for the show. Does anyone have anything they want to add to the end of the show?
Yeah.
No, I think we're good.
Phil, anything?
I think I'm good.
All right,
I want to thank everybody for tuning in.
Yeah, make sure you guys comment, like, and subscribe, and make sure you click that little bell so that you know when we post a video on the YouTube channel or when we go live with these kinds of things. And we will see you all next time.
Peace.